Can be fun. Good.
Nigel, first of all, massive thanks for being part of Indie Business Live. We know that small businesses make up a massive part of the economy and communities. You've been a champion for them for many, many years. Why are they so important to you, particularly relating to food, drinks, the things that we consume on a regular basis?
These are the real innovators in the business, I think, who can develop ideas, birth them, and do it quite quickly. We've shown that recently with a lockdown and what have you. We've been some incredibly inspiring and thoughtful people out there who've made their businesses just turn them on their head really rapidly. But also what I love about these are some really brilliantly eccentric food and drink producers who quite often have come from other backgrounds, you know, be it, I don't know, they could have been scientists or doctors, policemen and women, or it worked in the city. I only say that because those are exactly the stories I've been dealing with in the last month. People who've done that to make great cheese, to produce fudge, to brew beer. And they've all got interesting backstories. And there's no doubt for me that the food tastes even better when you know that. I'm a storyteller at heart, but there is some great food out there and fantastic ingredients coming out of the UK. So for me to be able to spread the love and champion these artisan food and drink producers, and also to be able to help, because they get to a certain level as a producer, they might be, you know, working from home, they might be baking or cooking from home, but then they realize they've got to upscale the business, maybe employ someone else, and then it becomes complicated because you want to keep the great taste that you had originally, but to make sure that when you increase quantities, you can basically you maintain that, and not only the quality, but the margin. And make some brass, so to say, where you and I from, because it's key. You know, there's no point, you know, turning over lots if you look at the bottom line, if you're not making any money, and that's key when you get your business, you know, to make it a bit bigger. So for me to champion artisan food and drink producers, it's a no-brainer.
But it can be a long road, can't it? Because as you've pointed out, a lot of organisations, they've got a passion, they want you to be able to taste that love, they want you to be able to really feel that quality, but they actually embark on a journey where we know from our mentoring that we do through Access for All, the free support we've given, helped thousands of small businesses. It can be a long road to profit, and that can be really hard sometimes when you put in heart and soul 12 18-hour days in and things. What words do you have for keeping people going when they're perhaps in that transitional phase and finding it difficult?
Obviously, you know, there's the inner strength, the drive. Remember, listen to the little voice in the back of your head. That's invariably the right one, particularly the older you get. Just trust your instinct and your gut, but also try and be focused. You know, don't be too scatterbrained. You know, have 3 or 4 goals rather than 20 or 30, which you might have, but you've got to be much more realistic about what you can really achieve and convert. And work with mentors. You know, you might be a great baker, but it doesn't say you're going to be a good business person. So, you know, work with people who are. Biggest strength, know your own weaknesses. Play to those and work alongside one, and try and get your finances in place, you know, all the different elements of insurance. Gosh, you know, as the business gets bigger, HR, suddenly you think, oh my goodness, I'm a baker, I don't really know how to handle people. Well, get someone around you who can, and incentivize them, give them a part of the business as well, because then it's in everyone else's interest to keep the business going. But be realistic about what you can do. Try not to be a busy fool, and get some kip.
Yeah, and you have been so pivotal in that you've used your platform. You're involved with national broadcast channels and shows that we all know and love, but you've used that platform to enable opportunities for small businesses. That can't have been easy to do as well when, you know, that opportunity is really important to you. Have you ever had any pushback that people have wanted you to use perhaps more traditional known brands, and how hard has it been to always fly the flag so authentically and honestly?
The joy of being with the BBC for 30 years, Kate, is that I've always been really independent. So I've been able to champion the little people, knowing they'd never have got on to a 7 million listenership of Radio 2 with Simon Mayo or Chris Evans without me doing it. So it's a great opportunity to work within the BBC guidelines that I have done, but to also to be able to promote them. And they're the ones you can, you know, because for every great producer of beef or vegetables, you know, there are a lot of others who can do a similar thing. So it's not just that individual. You can use them as to talk about them on air, but also to back your greengrocer, your butcher, your fishmonger, if you're lucky enough to have one. So it's a much more general rally to arms, but to support small, local, independent. And that's the thing that we heard recently. And I'm lucky enough to have had the platforms to be able to talk about them. but you know, and I know how much it's made as a business. You know, people have been selling out, but that in itself brings a few problems because they think, oh my goodness, you know, how it's like the Delia factor or Nigella. You know, if you, you know, how you've got to start producing, and then you upscale your business. So then the problems can arise. You know, is that okay? I've got a bigger market, but how do I make sure that I can keep the quality and the margin going? So. But I'm being very fortunate. I will continue to be, you know, as long as I've got breath in my body, to be able to promote small artisans, because that's what it's about. The bigger businesses have got their own marketing departments, their PR, and everything that goes with it, but the little ones don't. So for me, it's a no-brainer. And they're great stories to tell, and tasty ones at that, Kate.
I know, and I've been a huge fan of yours for years, and we've had the great opportunity of working together on the odd occasion. But it can be very rare to find diamonds like you, Nigel, that actually say it and actually deliver and do it as well. I've never met someone as passionate and honest in terms of your work to try and champion these smaller businesses. I'm wholly inspired by it. It completely takes my breath away that you will go out of your way, and I've seen you do it, to make sure that if there is a small business solution there, you will find them and put them on that platform. And you've done so selflessly. So I know that makes a huge difference. What we've heard from the small businesses we're supporting is the thing that they really need right now, as well as us using them, is to try and get almost what you and I would class as a testimonial. They need people out there introducing them to their network, realizing that even you or I as an individual maybe have a few followers than the normal amount, but that even a small social network can make a big difference. And we're going to ask them to do that with hashtag Indie Business Love. How important is a testimonial when you can't taste or drink something without buying it? You know, how important is that word of mouth to those small businesses? Why should people be encouraged to spread the word?
Well, it's right. I mean, that's why, for instance, the Great Taste Awards or the World Cheese Awards are great, because when you see that black and gold sticker of the Great Taste, you know that it's being tasted, you know, by 60 or 70 different judges, and it's got an accolade, you know, from some of the best people in the business. That's a great way. That's a good example of supporting small industries. And for me, and I take it as a great compliment of what you just said, Kate. No brainer for me to support them, but thank you for those kind words. But for every one of me, there are 1,000 or 10,000 small artisans I could introduce you to with the great passion and the drive. So that's spreading the network. You're absolutely key there. Social media is really key. People like me are micro influencers, in that, you know, we might have 20, 30,000 followers rather than 300,000 or 3 million. But actually, the micro influencers are the ones who actually join in the debate. So yeah, use that nowadays. You know, PR and marketing, you know, it's one of those things. The last 20, 30 years have been key in the food and drink business, but now there's much more power to the individual to do their own social media. But it's a crowded market, so you need to be good and honest about it, and think the amount of time you're going to spend on it, make sure it's really good. That's good advice. Go on a course or two, which you can do virtually, of course, now. Find out, but try and do it yourself, and make it, don't make it too worthy, make it entertaining and interesting. Tell them a little bit about your lives, because really that's the backstory that we want to have about food and drink producers. But yeah, just spend some, excuse me as I leave my, you know, earpiece. Here we go. Don't want to miss anything you're saying, Kate. But yeah, technology, how has that moved in the last 10 months? It's gone on 10 years. So embrace it all. And if you do it wisely, it won't necessarily cost you too much money.
And you've been so generous with your time, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. We're doing this as a pre-record the day before Indie Business Live in November. We know the real event's been postponed to February because that's when we can get back out there and see each other. I'm really excited about seeing you face to face again. I'm going to come down and do the live broadcast with you in February for LA. I wanted to let you know, which you don't realise, that tomorrow we're going to be, just wait for the internet connection to come back.
I'm good. From me, my end, I'm connected.
Excellent. Tomorrow we're going to be celebrating and announcing some icons, people who have a platform, who've used it to the good of small businesses. I'd like to tell you that you're the first Indie Business icon. So many congratulations for us. We wanted to do a small token of our realization of people really honestly and genuinely supporting indie businesses. We'll be celebrating many others through the day, but you are our first, Nigel. I couldn't have dreamt of when I met you those years ago, meeting someone who so authentically lived and breathed small businesses in the way you do, on all of their part. Thank you for everything you do.
Kate, I really appreciate that. What you and Sarah Hassan have done with the Indie Business Awards has been you're spreading the love. I know that's what it's all about, but I'm really honoured, very touched by what you've just said. Slightly blown away. It'll definitely put a spring in my step for the rest of, not just the day, the week, the month. And I think that's really important at the moment. And between all of us, we will identify many others because they're out there. And that's what these awards are all about. And more power to your indie elbow, Kate and Sarah. I'm very touched. For a man who's not normally lost for words, I almost am. Thank you.
You are iconic. You are iconic to small businesses, and that's what makes the world go round. They're the people that feed into the communities. They're the people we need to make sure that the great and small business survives. Nigel, I just can't wait to be back in the same room with you again. Thanks for doing all of the bits you've done to help us glue this together virtually, whilst we show indie businesses we're not giving up on them just because we're in another lockdown. We're making sure that we've still got those supportive messages going out there. I just can't wait to get back with you in February, Kidda, and see you face to face. Thanks for all your help.
Okay, I'm giving you a big virtual hug here. There's one Hardcastle special coming your way from Nige, and delivering one in person later in the year. It's been a tough time. There have been some good things to come out in the appalling situation, and I think the Independent Business Awards is a really good example of that. Thank you so much.
Ditto, Barden. Over and out, and see you in February for the real life. To you and your gorgeous family, have a fantastic Christmas if I don't see you before.
All right, our kid.